It's hip-hop's dirty little secret, the love-hate relationship between New York and Atlanta, and the constant competition over which city reigns supreme as rap capital of the world. No one disputes that hip-hop started in the NYC, breaking new ground as New York artists broke new beats. Hot 97 DJ Funk Flex tells me it's really all about perspective.
New York is forever going to be the home, as long as the music that birthed in the Bronx is still here, New York is for. So I don't look at Atlanta being the new capital. I look at them as being very good at what they do, and, we're good at what we do too. In the 1990s, the golden era of hip-hop, artists from New York and Los Angeles dominated the charts and the culture. But in 1999, a new artist called Lil Wayne turned all eyes on the South. A few years later, Mane and T.I launched the trap music movement. For more than a decade, Atlanta artists dominated the charts.
Only thing different from New York and Atlanta is that we made it fun. It wasn't as gritty and as grimy and as dreary as most New York hip-hop.
The emphasis of Atlanta artists like Young Thug, Future, and Migos on catchy beats and their flamboyant style resonated with millions of new hip-hop fans, taking trap mainstream.
New York is kind of understanding the burn of that they're not the cool kids no more.
For a while, there was a strong belief that Atlanta wasn't showing New York artists love, but that may not have been the full story.
Nicki Minaj, Fabulous, French Montana, Diddy, all of those artists get played here in the South, Atlanta especially. And they also be here and party.
Cardi B is leading the charge of New York artists making their mark, says Atlanta's DJ Infamous, who's also tour DJ for Ludacris.
Right now, New York has a lot of big artists coming, and they're being consistent, like A Boogie, Cardi B, Dave East.
There's more to the rivalry than the music. Let's find out what our panel has to say. Joining me, DJ Drewski. He's Hot 97 DJ's new at 2. His new movement show is on Sunday nights at 11 p.m. He breaks a lot of new artists and new joints from some of the big name artists as well. He was the one that discovered A Boogie. Drewski, great to have you.
Thanks for having me.
Great to have you be back. Also with us is Chuck Creekmur. He's the CEO of allhiphop.com, a hip-hop cultural commentator. Chuck, great to have you.
Thank you.
Great to have you back. Also with us is Tap. He's a hip-hop artist. His latest single is Lie No More. He's signed to RGF Productions with Danny Sue and Fetty Wap. And he just got back from a national tour where Atlanta was one of the stops. Tap, thanks so much for being with us.
Thank you.
We appreciate
so much for having me.
No, great to have you on. Chuck, I'm going to start with you on this big picture.
You're going to start with me.
You knew I was going to start with you. All hip hop, that's all hip hop. New York hip hop and Atlanta hip hop and everywhere around the world. You have to admit it, as much as we love New York, Atlanta is really strong.
I love Atlanta, actually. I go down there a lot, and when I do it, I enjoy myself. And it's a different culture down there. It's more open. It's a lot more openness, if you will. I think the strip club culture has contributed a lot to the music that we're hearing right now. New York is, to me, still a lot of headphone music, a lot of to-yourself music, on the train, in the park, you know what I mean? So I think it's a little bit different. There's a lot more sharing, if you will, going on in Atlanta.
Much more of a group thing. Drewski, what about it? Because you play to all kinds of crowds all over the country.
Right, and I gotta agree with him. I think the strip club culture in Atlanta is what helped it boom. Once.
Why is that?
Because the artists and the music was breaking out of the strip club. It became the new place where music was being broke. You got the girls dancing to it. You got, the people that were in there, they had no choice but to listen to this new music. And with social media, all these girls that have big followings, these bartenders, these dancers, posting the music on their Instagram and Snapchats and Facebook, it just helped grow the culture and the music. So it definitely started breaking out of Atlanta through the strip club. But I think some of our, still to today, the biggest icons in hip-hop are New York artists.
Really?
Like the Jay-Z's, the Diddy's, the 50s. We'll talk about it.
Well, definitely. Mm-hmm. Tap, tell me about, you've been to all these different cities within the last year.
Absolutely.
What's it like, and kind of some for the first time, I'm sure, right?
Basically, what Chuck and Juicy said, I'm trying to say, it's basically like an engaging culture down there. I'm trying to say is more exploit. A lot of more artists down there are really engaging with each other and collabing with each other often than it is in New York. You know what I'm trying to say? So it's just like it's more personality down there. You know what I'm trying to say? Well, which maybe explains why the music is out
Why
more.
people are feeling it so much.
Yeah.
But what about for you? Because I'm sure, I'm sure when you go from city to city, like on a tour back to back, you kind of notice like the differences, even though you're in hotels and stuff like that, and on the bus and the plane and everything. But what was it about Atlanta that struck you?
Everything is just like fast down there. You know what I'm trying to say? So it's just like the music, producers. It's just like everything is just like more of like you getting your hands on with a lot based on if you was up here in New York. You know what I'm trying to say? So
like a real creative collaborate type of vibe?
And it's basically like a more of everyone down there knows one another. You know what I'm trying to say? So mainly up here you probably meet a different artist or a different person up here through like it's hard to explain, like basically like through another type of department or category. You get what I'm trying to say? Down there you really like meet different type. It's
just more
people.
open.
Yeah, open music.
Like here it's very segmented and very like you got to really know people to get through the door and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, down there is mainly like you got a buzz, you got a bass, like they rocking with you.
And did you feel like they were feeling your music more too?
Oh yeah, absolutely. It was just like more. Me was different aside from a lot of artists in New Jersey and New York. It's basically that my style is more up tempo, and that's why I feel like it's more like down in Atlanta type like orientated. So so that's why I just feel like as far
more
as,
dance, more party music, that kind of thing.
And that's what's mainly jumping down there. You know what I'm trying to say? So it's like what Juicy said, like the strip clubs and things like that. New York and New Jersey is more iconic, like freestyling and more like lyrical.
Like the hard skills. Like you got to have like these hard skills. Right. Some of the New York artists have said to me, they're like, Lisa, New York is all about the lyrics. It's about the writing, the MC, like all these skills. Atlanta is about the beats.
And I just feel like people just be themselves down there. You know what I'm trying to say? Like there's a lot of people being themselves. They showing a lot of what they do. You know what I'm trying to say? Like a lot of they culture that was going on down there that like attracts the fans and the supporters and the listeners to what they got going on.
Like they're not trying to be anybody else. They're happy like this is what we are. Like take it or leave it.
The raw, uncut, like down there. So you get what I'm trying to say? Like basically like up here we more like isolated, more stays in.
Yeah.
What we do down there, they really like they get into you.
What about that?
Today it's a lot different. Like a couple years ago, you can distinguish the difference between a New York artist and a down south artist. I think today though, because it's a new generation and these kids grew up listening to Atlanta artists and down south artists, they all start to sound the same. So you have artists like Designer who sound like Future, but he's from Brooklyn.
Right,
you know what I'm saying?
right.
Tekashi 6ix9ine is from Brooklyn, but he doesn't sound like a typical New York quote unquote artist. So it's changing. But yes, it's always been like that where mostly New York artists had the skill, know how to rap, you know what I'm saying? They could freestyle off the top. But I feel like today's generation, it's changed. Like today's artists music. Like Tap said he has more of a Atlanta sound maybe than a New York sound. So there's really no difference at this point.
The line is blurred. The line is blurred.
They created so much.
So many hits.
And so much energy that all artists are starting to sound like, down south artists.
I think it's a little less industry down in Atlanta too. So for sort of what Tab said, in New York, you kind of gotta meet somebody to meet somebody to meet somebody.
Right.
Whereas in Atlanta, you could go to brunch and just meet somebody, and then y'all just start building right off the top.
Right there at the table or the buffet line or whatever.
Absolutely. Right. And I think here the industry is ahead of the music. It's before the music. So, I just feel like the people in Atlanta are more warm and welcoming than, say, New York. You know what I'm saying? If that makes any sense to you?
Yeah, totally.
I mean, I love New York, and obviously it's the Mecca and all those good things. But in this day and age, when you're trying to get on or you're trying to feed your family or whatever the case may be, you pretty much would do whatever it takes to get there. And I think that's also why the sounds have changed too.
Right.
Not just that they've grown up, but on Atlanta music or down south music, but that it's popping. So you will do what you need to do.
Okay, when we come back, let's talk about the evolution of the sounds, because I looked up some of the dates and when trap started and versus the golden era and all those things. Let's talk about some of the evolution of sounds, because I think that's where things are really happening and bubbling right now in 2018. This is Street Soldiers. I'm your host, Lisa Evers. We'll be back right after this.
We were experiencing just everything we all wanted, right? From everywhere. All pistons were firing at that point. East, west, south, it was crazy.
Let's talk about the sound, okay? Golden era hip hop, Chuck, in the 90s. Okay, you have your Biggie, your Tupac, the whole West Coast thing. 1999, according to my research, this guy comes along named Lil Wayne, and then it was just, remember, it seemed like those were the only songs we were hearing for a long, long time. Open the thing in the South, the mid 2000s. You got Gucci, you got T.I, the birth of trap music, and then where are we here in 2018?
Don't forget, Jay was still popping, DMX was still popping, Nas was still popping. Like, see, this is where, Lisa, I'm just gonna respectfully disagree.
Okay, please do. No, do. I want to hear.
You're right, but you're also excluding so many people, like Eminem. I mean, it just goes on and on. Dr. Dre released an album in that same time frame. So I'm gonna just say this. That was an extension of the golden era of hip hop, where we were experiencing just everything we all wanted, right? From everywhere. All pistons were firing at that point. East, west, south, it was crazy. So I'm gonna say that was an extension of the golden era, but I'm gonna say this. Respectfully, New York started to catch feelings because that's when the shift began. The shift started to head down south. Cash Money was killing it, and Cash Money was the last dynasty. I could be wrong, but in my opinion, Cash Money was the last hip-hop dynasty. So before that was Bad Boy, Rockefeller, et cetera, even Rough Riders. But, they maintained quite a bit longer than most other ones.
For a long time.
Yeah, and the last thing I'm going to say this. I know this might take us off topic a little bit, but sampling laws changed pretty dramatically in the 90s. So the sampling began to stop, and I could be wrong, but down south wasn't sampling like that. And cost-wise, it was easier to make beats and music without sampling, and the South really knocked that out.
Right.
You know what I mean?
And I also want to note that I feel like it's sort of like the New York City artists' fault in a sense too, because it was all competitive.
Thank you.
All the New York City artists were competing with one another.
It was self-destructive.
Right, and then 50 comes along and he starts dissing everybody, and all the artists.
2004,
right. So now none of these artists in New York City are collaborating. Everyone's competing. Everyone's for self. While this is going on, all the Atlanta artists, the down south artists, start working together.
Yep.
Like what Tap said.
Right, but like it didn't matter.
Really
it could be Gucci Mane, but he's in the studio with a brand new artist, and it's all helping one another rise. So you had the biggest artist in Atlanta working with the newest artist in Atlanta, and that's how it just kept going.
And really
like
working with them, not like we've seen with some of the New York artists, where they'd have these different artists, but the careers, they'd have one hit and then they disappear. And
right? No. They were working like.
No, Matt. Think about this. What if Jay-Z and Nas worked together? What if Jay-Z and DMX did not have a falling out? What if 50 worked with Fat Joe or
Ja Rule?
Like, what if they were all in cahoots to
and then birthing new artists?
Right. That's that too.
Yeah.
You know,
all the Migos and all the come from the Gucci Mane, the T.I. Like, they come from that, and not just because they were inspired. Gucci was around them, helping them and pushing them.
You rarely see an artist from the South. Obviously, T.I. called himself the king of the South, and some people, fight over that title. But for the most part, nobody really fought him over. They were just like, okay, you're the king.
Yeah, because it was pretty new though too. He could take the title.
Yeah.
But now it's popping in Atlanta when you have T.I. and Gucci now competing who created trap music.
Who created trap music,
That's going at it.
Yeah.
That's a different conversation.
That'll be another episode.
But that's how you know who's holding the weight right now, when that's the debate.
Now, Tap, you guys are kind of doing it the new way and the old school way in terms of promoting and careers and music and all that. Tell me about that.
Basically, like we just looking for our own lane, looking for what we feel comfortable doing. You know what I'm trying to say? And that's the biggest thing and the biggest key in this music. Like,
and also in terms of the work and the promotion.
Yeah.
Because Danny told me, like, you guys, you know, before you dropped the single, you got like a whole album already recorded and written and ready to go.
And it's basically like that. They like to prepare. They like to, how can I say it? Like, before we get into the big fish, we like to prepare like the little small d'oeuvres. You know what I'm trying to say? So we just like to prep everything before we really, you know, go through with it. You get what I'm trying to say? And so that for me, as being an artist, like that makes me format my music totally to another upscale level. You know what I'm trying to say? So
in terms of the approach, Drewski, the way the records get moved, the way you hear about, how do you hear about new artists? Because this is a question, I know we're going to have a million questions like that on social media. People are like, how can I get my record to him?
Right. It's different ways. Of course, I have a network of DJs that I'm around and I know where they're located, so I could go to them like, yo, what's popping where you from, or what's lit where you from, and I get it that way, you know, using social media. I'm on it all the time, you know, I'm out in the streets, I'm in the club, so people come up to me, they'll say, you'll play my record. If I play it in the club and I see a reaction, then it's like, okay, maybe we can support this, maybe it fits with what's going on. So there's a bunch of ways to do it, you know what I'm saying? People hit me up on social media all the time and I actually sit there and listen, and there's been times where I found a record in my email or through Instagram, and you know, the next day I'm playing it on Hot 97 and I'll see like reaction, and if it gets reaction, we keep working it. But yeah, I just see that the sounds are all different. It don't matter where the artists are from. When they're sending music, I can't even tell. I gotta ask, yo, where you from? You know?
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, because it's a lot different now.
And also because of the streaming, because you have your worldwide. You have all kinds of sounds, all kinds of genres, all kinds of generations in the palm of your hand and your phone, basically.
Yeah, I could go through 10 emails and all 10 of them have a different sound, and it could be all New York artists.
So Chuck, for fans that want to find new things right at the beginning, where do you think they should look? Because you're talking, you know, your point about these curated playlists is very good.
I think it's changing. I mean, it's changing every single day. I think when you talk about Cardi B, I wasn't even on Cardi's wave when she was an Instagram like stripper comedian. Right. I had no clue who she was, but she was developing this incredible loyal following during that period. And then when she got on Love and Hip Hop, then I knew who she was. But I think it's changing, and I think the creativity that artists have to show extends beyond just creating music. I think you have to include marketing and promotion as a person, as a human being. And really, if you look at the artists that were always great, they always did that anyway, like 50 Cent. They all had it in-house almost. And then the label came and then they took it to the next level. But labels aren't what they used to be. So, I mean, I think right now it has to be a multitude of different things that is not limited to just the music.
Thank you guys so much for being with us. Really fun show.
You.
DJ Drewski, Hot 97's own, Chuck Creekmur, allhiphop.com, and Tap Hip Hop Artist signed to RGF Productions with Danny Sue and Fetty Wap. Thank you so much for being with us. Good luck. Good luck with everything. Really appreciate it. All right.
Absolutely.
Remember, use your mind. It's your best weapon. I hope it's your only weapon. I'm Lisa Evers. Let's push for peace.